Africa, rich in resources and potential, stand at a crossroad in terms of solar photovoltaic manufacturing. Today, I like to respond to this question, right? I like to explore whether there is a real opportunity for industrialization or simply a mirage. Let's also just call it the way it is. So I want us to dive into the current landscape as it stands in Africa and discover what it really means for Africa future in solar energy. Thank you guys. Just stay tuned. Hey everybody, so welcome to Renewables in Africa, to Sunday Talk with Tony. So who am I? My name is Tony Chiu. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. What we do is extremely simple. We just want to raise awareness about renewables energy in Africa, but also across the globe. If you are a project developer, if you are an EPC company, if you are an investor or you are a supplier, like many of you actually reaching out to me, what I would say is I love talking to you and you are at the right place. And I want to help you, especially if you're telling me that you have identified Africa as a great market. Like I just received an email yesterday saying that, hey, Africa is upmost priority for us. Excellent. That's great. I love to hear that. But I also know that it's going to be two key questions that you want to solve. The first one is how can you reduce your business development costs? This is a real issue for you. Yes, I know. But the second question is how can you fast track access to your customer? If you respond and when you can respond to these two questions, the way you respond to that will literally determine whether or not your market entry or your expansion strategy in Africa is a success or not. And this is where I want to help because what we have for you here, it's our awareness packages really help you to tackle those two questions. There's three things the awareness package will give you. Number one, the visibility. Very important. Like I say, there's one thing you need to remember from today, visibility. Why? Because no matter how good, you know, your product is, let me tell you, no matter how good your product is, your service, right? If you are not visible to your target audience, guess what, right? So you will struggle to actually make any move forward. So I want you to be visible to your target audience. So I want them to know that you exist. Second tip we're going to give you, obviously, it's the qualified leads because if you're visible to your target audience, then you get a chance to get some qualified leads, and then you get a chance to make some sale. We're happy with all three. That's what we do. And that's what I'm saying. Book a meeting with me today, 15-minute talk. We can have this conversation. Like a number of you not reaching out to me for a conversation. I love it. Right? Give us a chance to show what we have done for other people and why we believe so strongly that it will help solve your problem. So don't hesitate. Reach out to me. Pick up your phone if you want to call me or drop me an email. So you have the 20 at renewablesinaafrica.com. It's as simple as that. Book a meeting to my LinkedIn profile, for example, and I will be delighted to talk to you. And if I don't forget, I'm just going to drop in the comment box as well in here. So, the links where you can immediately drop a message to me. Yep. And today, I want to talk to you about the solar PV manufacturing in Africa because this is a question a lot of us are thinking about. Many people are thinking because we know Africa needs to industrialize itself. We all know that. And the solar industry, but a new industry, will be a formidable way to do it. Because what do we know? We know that there is a global shift towards renewables energy. That's proven already. In particular, solar dominates, as the king of renewable, right? And it offers to me an immense potential for mineral-rich developing region like Africa. The mineral is there. We all know that. I don't need to demonstrate that, yeah. But what we've seen is actually recent finding they show that a very sobering reality in the continent because despite the natural resources endowments, African country they face significant challenges in integrating into the existing solar photovoltaic value chain. When you look at the market in Africa, so the solar industry in Africa, if you look in terms of deployment, it's barely 1% of the global shift. Yeah, and one of the reasons the supply chain merely existent. So the way we could change it is have our own manufacturing, at home. that will help us just to move things forward. Because at the moment is all dominated by global player, especially China. Yeah, China. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, but China controls over 80% of the solar PV supply chain. Yeah, and that's not China's fault. They work for that. They position themselves this way. Yeah, so that means if other regions want to compete, you simply have to do better, or you simply have to offer other solutions that are actually practical for customer for the industry. And African nations, they find themselves at a big disadvantage in here. They're struggling with limited technological capabilities and investment that are crucial, for developing their own manufacturing sector. So talking about that, so what does solar PV manufacturing actually entails? What I have here for you, it's a video that show you a little bit what the topic is. It's a shortened video that I found, and I believe that's good for you. So I thought let me switch to that, show you that, and then hopefully we can all have a look at that. So give me a second. I want to show that to you. Okay, excellent. The video is there. Let me just run it now.
Silicon is melted in a furnace at more than 1400 degrees Celsius to produce an ingot or casting, which is then cut into smaller blocks using a wire cutter. These smaller blocks are then cut into individual cells using thermal laser separation or just using another wire cutter. After the cutting or separation process, they are washed and etched. The cells are then treated back to back in a tube furnace with phosphorus gas at above 800 degrees Celsius, during which the gas condenses on the open surfaces of the cell and promotes the polarity of the cell. They are then cleaned and etched again, and the excess phosphorus removed. In the plasma chamber, they are given a bit of color. From here, the cells go through a screen printing process where the electrical contacts are printed on the front and rear of the cells using a silver paste. As a final step, they are tested and sorted into batches of similar color and efficiencies, ready to be used in the module manufacturing process.
Okay,
How long does it take?
okay. So that is actually what we show in here, which is how we actually manufacture solar. Yeah, that was the video. But what it shows is it's extremely, I would say, complex situation, right? It's very, very, I would say, sophisticated. So you can't just improvise yourself. So either you know or or you don't know. That is what I wanted to mention in here. But let me carry on as I was talking about, whether we could envisage Africa being a hub now for solar PV manufacturing. There are several critical challenges. By the way, as I'm talking to you, what actually inspired me this topic was a great article that I read a couple of days ago. It was talking about exactly the same topic, whether it was a mirage or a real dream that we could see solar PV manufacturing in Africa. And I decided I want to have a topic on that because not long ago I have this very bright lady from Namibia. I'm not going to name her so that I'm not going to embarrass her. But she was thinking about setting up a manufacturing plant. So in Namibia, because she said, hey, listen, there is a clear hub in here that I can see in Namibia, and there's a big market in South Africa, and I can actually target SADC. And then she was looking at that. She was very serious about it. And that's definitely an idea I've encouraged her to do, but we looked at different strategies that could be done. Yeah. So, but long story short, it didn't progress that much, probably because she got busy doing other things. But this is just to say that the question is actually in the mind of many other people. That's why I thought that's a good topic for us to have in here. But there's several critical challenges that we could think of, that Africa would face in the pursuit for solar PV manufacturing. First, many nations they lack the necessary technological expertise. As you could see, it's a very technological process, right? You can improvise. Either you know or you don't know. Yeah. So, but many countries will lack that. They don't have this knowledge, and also the related investment because all those machines that have been used. Yeah. And why we have each African country that exports so one key of raw material for solar, most of these export they go to countries outside the region, leaving the local capabilities which are underutilized. So on top of that, you have the financial constraint within many African nations that would really seriously hinder the ability to develop large scale manufacturing plant, especially when competing with the likes of China. Where government in China, they support the industry, establish infrastructure that will allow for large capabilities at reduced cost because scale is important in here. Yes. To put that into perspective, the greenfield polysilicon plants in China, for example, they operate at a capacity of 40,000 to 100,000, yeah, 40,000, megatons. And that makes them bankable, yeah? But if you don't have it, it's difficult. Most African countries they struggle to meet the minimum threshold needed to attract investment because that's how people are looking. What is the scale? So how much capacity can you build, and how would you deploy it? Yeah. So that's actually when we think about the challenges that we see. Now, there are some opportunities within the supply chain here, yeah, that I want to mention because don't just talk about challenges because we all know the challenges. To be quite honest, we've been very good at identifying them. Now, where are the opportunities so that one can even look at it and say, "Hey, that may be something I want to look at in here." So there's some glimmers of hope. You have opportunity within African countries to engage with specific stages of solar PV value chain. Yeah. For example, the modular assembly or electricity generation. That's exactly the advice that I was giving to this lady. I was saying, hey, listen, I know you want to build that. So to be quite honest, it's quite a tall order at the beginning to set up a facility by yourself, to bring the investment by yourself. Why don't you have a strategy? Because since COVID anyway, a lot of people are thinking about decentralizing a little bit the industry. Why not partnering with one of those big guys, those giants, yeah, and say, hey, what we want to do, we want to maybe do one part of the manufacturing in here. And this is how you start developing the capability. Yeah. That's what, for example, I'm suggesting assembly could be one part of it, electricity generation. Yeah. And by focusing on these activities, those countries they can address their energy deficit while building local manufacturing capabilities. Having said that, you have countries like Morocco, South Africa, Egypt. They have some existing experience in deploying solar technologies, and they could serve for me as model for a regional approach. And by leveraging their strengths, the continent could foster a more integrated and resilient solar manufacturing strategy. So that's where I see for me there the glimmers of hope. So yeah, the challenge, I've mentioned them. So we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the capabilities, we don't have the investment. However, there's some glimmers of hope in the sense that we could partner big players, pick up, part of the process that we localize into Africa. We learn from it and progressively we can develop. This is what the idea in here. I was talking about this lady that I was talking to, and that's exactly what I suggested to her. So as you will see, I mentioned South Africa, Morocco, Egypt. So what we understand here, we clearly have a need for what I would call a regionalized strategy. Because to truly capitalize on the opportunity of solar PV sector, we want a consolidated regionalized solar PV policy and strategy. That's imperative. And this approach would bring together African countries, and encourage them to share resources, technological capability, and also investment opportunities. And by creating a collaborative environment, we can overcome barriers posed by individual country limitations. Now, remember, this is a big market, this is a big continent. If we come together and we develop a unified front, this will enhance, our bargaining power on the global stage. Nobody can ignore Africa, to be honest, especially looking at the wealth of resources and the extent of resources that we have, mineral resources. The thing is, all these guys, they can't deploy the industry they want. They can't achieve their target if they don't deal with Africa. It's a fact. The battery, coltan, for example, copper, or a big part of those, of those minerals, you find it in Africa. So we could use that as a bargaining power, especially if we come together. We don't negotiate on a country by country level, right? So a regional organization like African Union, African Development Bank, they could play a crucial role in facilitating this integration. I'm not suggesting a second that they don't do that, but I'm simply saying this is the way to go, and maybe they could do more. Yeah, this can help establish the necessary political and financial framework to support a thriving solar PV manufacturing landscape across the continent. So that's what we say. And you know, just to sort of wrap up, we'll say why the prospect of solar photovoltaic manufacturing in Africa may seem bleak at times. It's not entirely out of reach. No, because in other places, in those places as well, at time there was a time it was also as bleak. Yeah, but if we're fostering collaboration and leveraging existing capabilities, we can transform these challenges into viable opportunities. I think we can work towards a future where Africa is not just a consumer of technology, but also a key player in the production. That's a recurrent theme. You've heard me say it, right? So this is nothing new in here. Well, so and I keep on pushing that, and I believe that's where we shall be going. So to talk more about solar, what I'd like to do is to take this opportunity to invite you to join us in our upcoming webinar. We're talking about the innovation solar technologies, what's next for the industry. It's on Thursday, 10th of October. So I'm just going to drop the link there. And what we do, we're diving into the latest advancement in solar technology, and we'll discuss how the future holds for the industry. Yeah, and getting an understanding of where the industry is going can open up the eyes of many people, especially in the continent, to see how I say how they can position themselves, develop those collaboration that's going to get us moving. So don't miss out this opportunity to gain insight and engage with the industry expert. Yeah. So as I say, I'll drop the link where you could register, and please, please, please do register. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So thank you for joining me today. Hopefully, you find the conversation valuable enough and encourage you to share your thoughts, your experience in the comments. And I believe together we can really drive meaningful change in the renewable energy sector. So that's what I have to say today. And I'm grateful to hear from you and for you to share this message. Thank you, guys. Speak soon. Bye bye.